everyone, welcome to GNGF Live. I'm Brianna Braley. Today I have with me Laura O'Brien from MyVirtual.Lawyer. I'm really excited, I'm really interested to hear more about her law firm and some of the challenges she's had marketing and where she sees the future going with virtual law firms. So join me in welcoming Laura. Hi, Laura.
Hi, thank you for having me, Brianna.
Yeah. So why don't you just start out just telling us a little bit about your background and how you got involved with MyVirtual.Lawyer.
Sure. I think it's a unique background, but it's probably not that unique to people who have jumped around trying different things in their life to see what makes them happy. But I have been a practicing attorney for 17 years now. Which sounds crazy to me when I say it out loud, but I started off as a litigator with an insurance defense firm, knew that wasn't going to be a long-term thing. And then I switched. I'd met someone in school who worked at Westlaw, and I got hired on as an account rep, which is basically a trainer. And I did that for a couple of years here in Arkansas, and then ended up staying with them for almost 12 years and moving around and covering, being account management, being in straight sales. And so I worked for this, very large tech company, even though when I first started out, they hated calling it a tech company, but it's a tech company now. But I worked with them in account management and sales for almost 12 years, worked with them in Houston, New Mexico, Louisiana. Last job I had was in Chicago, and decided that I really wanted to help people, and I couldn't do that at the same time as working, 70-hour a week. And so I just quit my life, is what I say. And at 15, decided to quit my job, put my stuff in storage, travel, figure out what I wanted to do. And then personal circumstances ended up where I was a little bit grounded on the traveling. So I moved back to Arkansas, and I started my own domestic violence law firm that was a full representation law firm. And that was pretty difficult, not so much the subject matter, because I've volunteered with DV cases and issues for a long time, but it wasn't for me, trying to balance calendars and deal with opposing counsel, that kind of thing. So I met Brooke Moore, who's the founder of MyVirtual.Lawyer, in 2017. And she and I really hit it off, and I really believe in her model of a law firm. It's good for the attorney and it's good for the clients. And so she asked me to join her as a partner at the end of 2017, after I had not known her for very long. And I just really believed in the mission that she had and everything like that. So she founded the firm in 2015, and I joined her at the end of 2017. And so that's a little bit of my background and how I came to be a part of MyVirtual.Lawyer.
Great. So can you tell us a little bit about why the decision to go to a virtual law firm, and what are some of the benefits of working for a virtual law firm as opposed to owning your own firm or working with another firm?
Yeah. So we actually do own our own law firm. Brooke and I are the owners of the virtual law firm. And her reasons and my reasons are a little bit different, but she started the law firm because she's licensed in Arkansas and her husband's in the military and was possibly going to be moved. There's some specific military term for the transfer. Mm-hmm. I don't know it. I haven't retained that acronym, but they were going to be moved to Washington, D.C. And she has 3 children and didn't want to take another bar exam, wanted something that was more fulfilling, because she owned her own, just like I did. She owned her own full representation law firm that was brick and mortar, all that stuff, and wanted something better where she could hang out with her kids and pick them up from school and not have the stress of a daily court calendar and that kind of thing. So that's why she started the law firm. And then I joined her. I've always worked remotely. I worked for Westlaw for so long. I'm used to, working from my house, working on a computer, doing, WebExes, that kind of thing. And for me, the virtual law firm, and we're a little bit unique in that we are entirely virtual. All of our communications, all of everything is online through our practice management system. So we use the client portal pretty much for all communications. And especially because we also do limited scope representation only. And because of that limited scope representation and the fact that we're completely online, I can help people, and I can do things like the family law. We do pro se assistance family law services here in Arkansas, along with estate planning and business law services. So it's just an alternative way for consumers to get legal help that is actually with a human, with an attorney, but doing it online in this kind of DIY society that we're in. So they're not going online necessarily to get legal forms that they don't know what to do with. They're coming to us and we're actually preparing their documents from scratch, but they pay a little bit less because we don't have a fancy office and our overhead is pretty low, which that's a huge thing too. But also it's for my bandwidth and my personal mental health that I don't go to court. I don't have to, have set business hours. I, get my work done when I want to. I can travel and take it with me because, most attorneys would say that, but I can communicate with my clients and do the services 100% wherever I am because I'm not tied to a court calendar, all that kind of thing. So the fact that all of our communications are online through secure portals, it's just huge. And that's kind of what clients want now. Clients don't necessarily want, and some do, but most clients in this day and age, they're used to doing things online. They're used to shopping online, they're used to buying things, they're used to paying their bills, they're used to doing all that stuff online. And so I think Brooke was extremely innovative when she started this firm, and we're just kind of growing and getting better because it's a learning curve a little bit because there was no go-by for how to create a virtual law firm. So that's kind of why we do what we do and why I get to have my own personal bandwidth. I like that word way too much, but I get to have my own, time and not be tied to a desk because I've never really had to be, a couple of times in my career, but I'm in my 40s and the thought of having to go sit at a desk again was horrible. So the virtual part really works for me and my lifestyle as well.
Great. So what do you think the advantages are for the clients for a virtual law firm too? You mentioned that it's a lower cost, but are there any other things that you think that you're able to offer specifically because you're virtual that a regular brick and mortar firm would not be able to offer?
Absolutely. And when we say low cost, it's not cheap. We actually oftentimes are more expensive than some of, we call them baby attorneys. I know some people have a problem with that phrase, but newer attorneys or even ones that, want to take everything that comes in the door. We're in Arkansas specifically, which is, one of the poorest states in the country, but we do have money here and people do have money, but it's true everywhere where there are rural spaces and rural places that may or may not have attorneys even in the county. Or if they do, then there might be one attorney or two attorneys. And so if you're dealing with a divorce, for example, one attorney might be conflicted out because they've represented the husband in some situations, so they can't represent the wife. So a couple of different things besides, the more affordable, and we do offer payment plans as well because we do direct auto drafts out of people's accounts, whether that's their bank account or on a credit card or debit card. But it's convenient. That's our big word, is it's convenient for the clients. So instead of them having to take time off work in order to come to an attorney's office, wait in the lobby for whoever knows how long, and I'm not dissing full representation attorneys or non-virtual law firms, it's just that doesn't fit for everyone. This is just an alternative for them, for the clients. So they don't have to take time off work, go sit in an office, answer a bunch of questions, talk to paralegals and secretaries and all that kind of stuff. They get to answer our questions online at their convenience, if that's 10 o'clock at night, if it's 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever it might be. They can also, if they have a question, we do offer flat fees as well, which some attorneys who have brick and mortars do as well. But for us, the communications are included in that flat fee. And because it's the secure client portal, they have a direct line to their attorney, and it's not going to get lost in a bunch of emails that 9,000 people are sending. Because attorneys get a lot of emails throughout the day. First of all, emails are not secure. They are easily hackable. But also with the secure client portal, it's in their name, in their case file. And we get an alert that says, hey, you've got a message from Joe Smith. So we can go and answer that message, and we have kind of a 24-hour rule with that. But whenever it pops in their brain, they can type it out and say, I just totally forgot to tell you this, or this just happened today. I need to let you know that. And so the convenience of being able to fill out intake questions and things like that that's something that we really push. But also, like I said, the rural areas that might not have a human attorney, close to an Android attorney or something, but they might not have a person, an attorney who's present in that county. Having it be online in a virtual law firm means that I can help somebody in, rural Southeast Arkansas, because I can cover the whole state and I'm not having to drive somewhere. They're not having to drive somewhere. We can communicate via Zoom or, phone call for consultations. We can do everything online.
Great. So what do you think the future of virtual law firms is? Do you feel like there's going to be more? I would imagine that you've probably experienced a little bit of pushback, but what do you see do you think there'll be more in the future, and how do you see that going?
I think absolutely. I think that we have seen, and Brooke definitely has seen, more and more things that are out there that are in the virtual world, whether it's a hybrid practice that someone offers that as a part of their service, or there are more people that are trying to do virtual law only. Virtual law does not mean remote working. It means that all of your communications, your payments, everything that you do is online, and using the virtual space and all the tools that we have available for that. And yes, definitely we've had pushback, but it's been from other attorneys who think that we're stealing their clients. And we can steal their clients if we opened up a brick and mortar here. These are clients that largely they probably are not going to service, because either the clients can't get to them or they can't afford a $5,000 retainer, whatever it might be. But we don't get pushback from the national level. So we do speak a lot nationally and are a part of attorney groups like where I met you that are more national based. So people are interested, they're excited, they're, they want to do it. So, which is why we created our licensee, our MBL for attorneys, which is a separate company that we have. It's a kind of a complimentary service where you can try to model our law firm here in Arkansas with our assistants and, be a virtual attorney, limited scope representation, so you can have a better life too. We call it a lifestyle law firm. But I think more and more it's going to go there because our clients are demanding it, and we have to listen to our clients. We are a profession that tends to be very walk uphill both ways in the snow. And, we're very protective, and we believe in transparency of your fees, the process of what you're going through, especially for the litigation matters like the family law that we do. They know exactly what's happening step by step because they're the ones doing the administrative work. So they're the ones filing and all that kind of thing. And consumers love it. We have had nothing but glowing comments, and we're trying to get more reviews on Google. Just sometimes that's hard to ask for.
Yeah.
But I think it has to move that way. Otherwise, we're going to die as a profession, because people like LegalZoom they're billion-dollar corporations for a reason, because they want to, go Google a form and fill it out. What they're not getting is that connection with an attorney who is customizing that for them. And so we're trying to kind of fill that space between a LegalZoom kind of provider and brick and mortar. You got to pay me by the hour, and I'll do all the stuff for you. Just don't worry your head. I'll handle it all.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That especially that convenience, because definitely that's what we've seen in marketing too. Is that's what everyone's going towards is. What's most convenient for me? How am I going to reach out to this person? So I think you're totally right and it's great that you're able to serve people that are underserved and otherwise wouldn't be able to access legal services too, because you're online. So, but I did want to tie this into marketing a little bit. But how have you gone about marketing your firm, and have you come across any challenges because you're virtual as opposed to having a brick and mortar location? And how have you kind of overcome that?
We have had challenges. We're not a new law firm. We've been around for almost 5 years now as a law firm. And the problem that we've had, the struggle that we've had, is finding people who know how to get our voice, to be honest. We had to switch from a USPS box to a UPS box. So there was a street address for Google My Business so to get all that verified. So a UPS box actually has a street address, which is nice. So we can use that. Problem with it, that occasionally we'll get somebody who drives to our UPS box and says, "Hey, I'm here for our meeting." I'm like, that's not how it works. That's only happened like twice, but it's always interesting when it does. But we've had marketing firms. So we've actually fired a couple of different marketing firms. I hate to use that. That sounds so harsh, but they couldn't get our voice. They couldn't understand how different we were than their brick and mortar people that they were serving with, personal injury law firms or whatever it might be. We are future thinking. We are innovative. We are a different kind of voice than what they're used to. And so we've hired people to do full social in the past and basically went in and corrected every single social post that they did for various reasons. And we decided last year that instead of spending a large amount of money per month and having to go basically and babysit every single thing that they did, which is not what we have, my favorite word again, we don't have the bandwidth for that. We decided to actually take it in-house, and my partner loves, doing certain things with social media. I'm not as much of a social media person as she is, but she took everything in-house, and she's been doing it for almost a year now. I think it was November maybe, that she took everything in-house, and that's been a struggle because she's trying to do legal practice, plus, we own the law firm, and, there's a lot of stuff in there. So we recently started outsourcing, and we decided to try instead of an agency, because a lot of agencies, in my opinion, they make promises and then they don't deliver. And we probably have fairly high standards, but with agencies, I want a person that I can talk to. And I know people who've had good experiences. I know people who've had really bad experiences. And with the marketing agencies, I think it's or any marketing company at all like yours, it's so important to listen to your clients and try to understand their voice. We know that it takes a little bit of time to get it, but we decided to outsource to someone that we know from a women's networking group to have her kind of try it out for a little bit. And we'll see how that goes. And it's kind of, for us, it's a comfort level of getting back in. And by us, I mean mostly, Brooke needs to be comfortable getting back and releasing that control of our voice, because our brand is our business, basically, because we do have a national presence. And we just got burned, I guess, by someone who was using a lot of emojis and grammar and, kind of saying we're better than you because we do it this way. And that's not what we mean. Yeah. We're just different than you. So there have been struggles. And I would say most of the struggles have been related to having someone who will listen to us and really understand our voice. And I think that just takes someone like you guys who want to really get into the nitty gritty and the nooks and crannies so that you can help grow the business for them as opposed to just make a paycheck. So
yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that, because even though you have their business is set up a lot differently than other firms, that's what we hear from firms, is the same problem, that they felt like their agency wasn't listening to them, or that they just didn't really take the time to understand who they are and what makes them different. So it's frustrating to hear, because I think agencies can really owe it to their clients what their job is to get that messaging out and let people know what's the difference between you and somebody else. And it's not just that you're online, that's just a piece of the puzzle. And also, it's interesting to hear that you took your social media in-house, because that's actually something that we usually recommend for really most clients. Social media is really hard for someone else to do for you, as you've seen. Especially it's such a personal voice, and that's what's the most successful social media, is what sounds like it actually came from the people you are, as opposed to like a robot writing it or another person who doesn't get it at all. So that's cool that you guys did take that over, as opposed to just stopping it entirely, because that's what some of the firms we've worked with in the past have started doing, is they're just like, this isn't working, we're just not doing it. So that's cool that you guys did try it. And I hope that working with someone that is a little bit closer to you, that you actually personally know, you are going to get that attention that you guys need. And it's great to hear you talk so much about your brand, because to us, brand is so important. So that's really cool to hear too. So
yeah, we have started also outsourcing SEO again. we got, again, burned a little bit, but there's a husband-wife team who do, like they're doing newsletters for us and SEO and managing kind of the website, making edits and stuff and things like that. We just got, words are powerful to us, and this is a couple that Brooke knows really well, and I now feel like I know very well. And so we decided to start small again, and just kind of work our way to what we can have people help us with, because we need help getting out there. We can't do it all ourselves. We're just a 2-person team. We have licensees in other states, and we have a contract attorney here in Arkansas that helps us with the legal work, which is amazing, but you're still trying to be a business owner and a marketer and all this stuff. It's just too much. So we took it all in-house, except for the SEO. We didn't do that for a little while. And then, but now we've started outsourcing again. And again, it's just, some of it for us is a little bit of a trust issue, because it's your baby. And especially when you're trying to do something different like we are, it's, it's important. And I appreciate everything that you said, because that is, your experience is valuable with your clients, telling you the things that have gone wrong for them. And for you guys to listen to that and offer different kinds of services or a different experience for them.
Yeah, and I think it goes to how important that trust is, because we do talk to a lot of people who are like you've been burned, and some people, their reaction is to just pull entirely, just give up and not ever try to do marketing again. And because, like you said, there is too much to do to really be able to do it well and also be practicing attorney at the same time. So, but I would just encourage people who feel like that, like you, to find people that you trust. Spend the time like getting to know the agency, not just about the deliverables that they're going to give you, but actually like what it's going to be like working with them. Like it sounds like for you guys, what was really important was people you already knew and trusted. And I would say that for anyone feeling the same way that they got burned by another agency, it really is terrible. And I'm so sorry that happens, because it happens a lot, unfortunately. But just remember that there's, don't hold everyone accountable to a bad experience also. And just, I think, taking the time and realizing that a good marketer, whether that's an agency or an individual, is like a business partner. They're a partner in your business, and treat them like that when you're looking for someone. So, all right, well, this was a great conversation. Laura, did you have anything else you wanted to let us know that we didn't get to?
I just wanted to say, for anybody listening who are attorneys and maybe struggling with what they want to do with their life, they're not happy with where they are right now, we do have some offerings. If you go to our website, that's just MyVirtual.Lawyer, we have kind of a dual website, one for clients and one for attorneys. And if you go in there, you can kind of see a couple of videos about who we are individually and together. And we do try to offer services for attorneys to help them in their lives. And that includes things like being a tech expert, where we can help you with technology and, help you with automation, because we're a virtual platform, and because we are limited scope representation as well, we heavily automate, and we think that everyone should automate. And nobody needs to have to type addresses and things like that in over and over again. So just encourage people to kind of go look at that. You don't have to necessarily use us for anything, but maybe you'll get some ideas about what you can do with your own law firm. And I just really appreciate you guys inviting me on to the live and having me talk about my business.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. It was great to hear about future of law firms, and just how a lot of, no matter what you're practicing in law, it sounds like you guys have a lot of the same struggles, and it's just cool to hear about where things are going. So thanks for being here, Laura. We will be back in 2 weeks for another live GNGF Live. So we'll see you then.